And when I see it and boom, I usually say it and it happens. And that's pretty exciting because that means we're on a good start and the bandwidths are with us. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday. Can you believe it already? Thursday of the week. The week just seems to be flying by so fast. And it's Trending Thursday. And we got a great guest. But good morning. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss Lady Canna, live from a nice sunny Vero Beach with two
Sisters, and good morning, everyone. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 3.0. It's Trending Thursday, and we're just going to dive right on into it. We have an amazing guest on today, and she has a very unique background, and I just absolutely love it. A former advertising sales executive, she is a champion of the inner child. Perfect, right? Especially for this day and age. She is a play instigator, and I can't wait to dive into that, along with being a creativity coach and co-founder of the Playful Mind Project, and so much more. But there's just too much to get into, and we're so excited. Welcome, Rona. We're so happy to have you with us today.
This is exciting. I'm really, this will be so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I have to move my little computer sticky here because it was over your face, Carol. So even though I can officially see you, but let's dive on into it. So we know that you work with specifically company employees to ignite their ideas and explode productivity. And I can't think of a better way to do that in the Playful Mind Project and how that all works. So kind of fill our viewers and listeners in.
Well, the Playful Mind Project came about actually because of the pandemic. My business partner, Jessica, this is a woman-owned business. We are both play experts coming from different arenas. She has her like chemical engineering degree, and she worked in marketing at MySpace and a couple of other places. And the people in the play world, everybody kind of knows each other. And we were saying that we all had to pivot to go online. And she was a professional comedian and an improv professional as well, worked in a national company and all that. And so we formed the Playful Mind Project to not only help corporate employees, but to help the consumer also. We have two different areas. We have a business to consumer and a business to business. She's in charge of the business to consumer, which is a lot of moms who were working from home because they were the hardest hit because of COVID. And she's a mom, she's got a 20-month-old. And I'm in charge of the business to business, which of course does mean working with corporate employees. Because so many of them are working remotely, and there are all kinds of conflicting reports, about they're doing great and they're depressed and lonely. And it's kind of a combination of the two. We take that on because, number one, they tend to work a little bit more hours because there's no commute time. So they actually get, I think the statistics show they get almost an hour more of work done each day, and they can do it in their pajamas. And when the pandemic first started, that was great. Everyone loved it. I actually wrote an article on this very thing, and I believe I put it up on LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn, Rona Lewis, you'll find the article on it. And then a year later, these same people who were so excited about not having to commute and having the ability to, go get a snack when they wanted to from their fridge, they're going crazy. I mean, literally, mental health is such a big thing now. More of them are depressed. More of them are actually getting more paranoid, because when you're not in an office and seeing what other people are doing and having that connection, talking about what's going on, they start to wonder what everyone else is up to, and why hasn't my manager called me, and why haven't we had more meetings, and things like that. And that makes a huge difference. So we work, and I'm giving you this background information as to the why of Playful Mind Project because we want to shift everyone's attitude to one of positivity and play. So we work with two avenues, purposeful and attuned. Purposeful play is fairly self-explanatory. There's a method to our madness. So we work with team building and working towards a tighter corporate culture through games and exercises that are seemingly just fun, but actually serve a purpose. We help with brainstorming. We work with managers to give them ideas on how to keep their teams more cohesive. And there's a bunch of other things in terms of that, as well as attuned play. Attuned play comes from a theory from Gwen Gordon, who is a mentor of ours. It deals with the one-to-one aspect. We attune to where they are psychologically so that we know where to start with them if they're overwhelmed and don't know what to do because they're spinning. We can kind of help them settle down, shift their attitude, and give them a different viewpoint. Let me say we are not psychologists, but we work with cognitive behavioral therapy techniques and everything from physicality to wordplay to improv, a whole mix of things because not everyone is the same and not every company is the same. So we customize it depending on the issues at hand and what the HR people and the CEOs tell us. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I actually find it quite interesting being an entrepreneur and working for a direct sales company where we there is no brick and mortar. We always work from home or love the luxury of not just working from home. We can work wherever we are. We could, be at Disney, for instance. We could be on vacation and we are still connected. And I find it really interesting from the mindset perspective on someone that was used to that 9 to 5 going to that brick and mortar building, comparably, as you're saying, are now trying to navigate, maybe going stir crazy, not used to that work environment, to an entrepreneur that is actually used to that. I find that interesting. Yeah,
and I myself, since I moved to California in 2005, I have been an entrepreneur. And to me, it's fine. What I think the big difference is the human connection is gone. As entrepreneurs, 9 times out of 10, at least some of the day, we're working face to face.
Yes.
For me, my old company was called Play More Corporate Wellbeing. I went in person and gave talks and team building events, things like that. I can't do that anymore.
Right.
So when the pandemic hit, I lost 95% of my business. Like so many other people. One of my closest friends has one of the largest experiential marketing and branding companies called Encompass International. It's awesome. It's experiential. There's not a, so they have had, and luckily they have gotten into gaming and things like that. So they were able to pivot because everyone had to all of a sudden go with the flow and say, well, crap, what do we do now? And that's how Jessica and I started working together through people that we know in the play world. We're all play cronies, like I said, and we talked about it and we realized that we have a lot of similar viewpoints. In one way or another, we were looking to shift people's mindsets to play and positivity because you can't play when you're cranky. It's
no, you
impossible.
cannot. What would be the one tool that you think coming from corporate America where they've embraced, so I'm assuming a lot of what you're doing is through Zoom or through online meetings.
Right.
And that's again putting someone out of their comfort zone to a certain degree, because I was actually ironically listening to my grandson do an online class, and the teacher is very creative. She's wonderful with, obviously they're not taking gym, they have that movement, that interaction with their students. And she is very playful. Okay, everyone stand up. We're going to march in place. We're going to do 10 jumping jacks. Now for a child, because their mindset is so much different than an adult, now you have that 9-to-5er, probably used to wear the certain, the suit and tie or, dressed up professionally. Now you've got them behind a camera via Zoom. And I'm curious to see how that you see that some of them going, oh, it's a little weird. Like she wants me to get up and do something or show some movement or again, play. And that's a different experience. What would be your kind of like most funny experience with that, as well as list and let our viewers and audience know some of the great different playful things that you actually do?
Well, we've actually found that people are happy to do the exercises because it's not, and I use the word exercise as a mental thing also, because yes, a little bit of, we'll get up and like one of our playful things is to get up and strike a power pose as a fake person, or think of somebody in your mind. So like, for instance, what would a power pose from the Queen of England look like? Go ahead, do it. How would it look like? Let's play. So how would that look like? There you go. See, yeah.
Or
the wave, So
the wave.
And it gets people out of their head.
Right.
We do things like laughter yoga. I don't know if you've heard of laughter yoga. It's a real thing. Jessica is not only a yoga instructor as well as a comedian and expert in improv. I've had improv training also. She's also a laughter yoga certified instructor. So if the great thing about that is after 90 seconds of fake laughter, the body doesn't know the difference. So you still get the endorphins and the serotonin levels, and it turns into real laughter. And when you get a bunch of people doing that, it's so much fun. So there are pretend games, there are wordplay. If we have a bunch of people, we will do telephone storytelling. One of us will start with one sentence, and then we go along, each person adds a sentence until the story is done. And stop to think about it. You have to really listen. So it works on your listening skills, which in business is always important. And you have to go with the flow, because you may have an idea in your mind and it could take a left turn because of what the person before you said. And it makes you realize that you have no control over what other people are doing or saying. So much of the time, we have the idea in our head about how things are supposed to go or how we would want them to go. When you're playing, you can't. You just have to be in the moment and let it go. And all of these things help reduce stress. And we also give ideas how to shift your mindset to looking at things, making lemonade out of lemons. So our Zoom groups are super fun, and everybody is so ready to enjoy themselves. We really haven't had people going, I don't know. I've actually had more times where I will give you an example, since you asked about this. This was actually in person. And obviously you can do a lot more things in person than you can on Zoom. And this was, I brought in a little bit of art. So I had everybody with a blank sheet of paper and a golf pencil, because you can't erase things with a golf pencil. There's no eraser. And one of the exercises I do deals with doodling. And I had everybody just take the pencil, no rules. I wanted them to doodle for 30 seconds. You can tell a lot about a person just by doodling. And one woman in particular had to actually think for a second about what she was going to doodle. And she took her pencil and was really pressing hard on the paper. Right there, you know that someone is stressed if they're holding it like this. And she drew the perfect half a Christmas tree, you know how it swoops up and back?
Yes.
And she was trying so hard to make it even. In my head, I'm thinking, oh my
Oh,
God, this is so above my pay grade, and I can't do anything in the hour and a half that I was paid for. And this woman's inner child was so far down. That's when, if they would have worked with us longer, I would have used our attune play to help her slowly bring her inner child out, and to know that it's okay. One of the things that is big with play is safety and trust. Our one of our mottos is from safety to silly, because if you're not safe, if you don't feel safe, you can't play, because there's no trust. And that's what play brings out. So there's a lot of different things that play can bring to team building and getting more out of your employees and building a tighter corporate culture. So that one was, I think, the worst issue that I've had with play. And there's different people just don't know. It's like, I don't know what to do. There are no rules. You can do anything. Sometimes when you give a person too much choice, it's hard for them to make one. It's kind of like going to Cheesecake Factory or Applebee's or one of those fast food places, and they have a menu that has a kabillion things on it. It's harder to make a choice. And that also is a lesson in allowing your mind to run free. When there's no rules, be outrageous, So
yeah, and like you said, it's going to allow the connection. It's almost like kind of the fear. We're not going to the office, so we don't. In addition to, like you said, not being called in or getting seeing your boss or your manager or whatever and connecting with them. It's also that fear of there is a camaraderie that goes into whatever position you hold. You have that coffee hour, you have that break where you're catching up, knowing what's going on with each other, their family, or getting advice. So there is that piece of the corporate world that people probably did not realize how much they depended on, from a standpoint of entertainment, amusement, friendship, camaraderie, all those different things. Now all of a sudden you remove them, because you remove them from what's going on in the home life. Now you put them back in the home life, and they don't have that time to check up because they're in the same boat you are, trying to manage working online from home in a home office that you're not really used to,
right.
along with accounting for children and kids and their remote learning
and parents, and so the sandwich generation has them both, and some are living with them, some are not, but even then you still want to go, if they live close enough, to go see them, wave from outside, whatever it is. But there's a lot more to think about. I have never bought into the term work-life balance, because work is part of life. It's all about life balance, and life balance is crazy. I have a good friend who is a writer, and so he works from home, and he's been home even more because he's a successful one, TV and all that kind of thing, and he can't just go into the studios anymore. So it's worse for him, because that was his only connection with the human race, and he didn't realize that little bit made such a difference. Overall, humans are social animals. We thrive on human interaction and touch, and we have, as a society, have become, and I'm not going to go nuts on this, but we have become so afraid of someone else touching and being inappropriate. Of course, you don't want that, but if I haven't seen you for a while, I want to give you a hug.
Absolutely. And I think that the sadness, or the sad side to that piece to it, is that those that do suffer already have anxiety, depression, mental health issues, where they do really rely on that human contact.
Exactly.
And I think And at least I hope that throughout this experience, those are the things that are highlighted, that people realize the importance of why we need that human communication and just being together, as well as the children. So many children are now suffering from depression and anxiety because they're, again, not having that human contact and just playing and seeing other children. So you see it on all different levels. You see it from a child's perspective. You see it from those that already have those issues. And now you're probably seeing more and more of that with those that were so used to being in a brick and mortar corporation, going to an office versus being at home.
And that's one of the things that we work on the business to consumer side. And Jessica's done an unbelievable job with this. We have a private Facebook group that's for moms and moms who work. And you know, there's some dads who work too that have to take care of kids also. And the great thing as part of what we offer when we do the attunement on the business to consumer side, when the moms do this for their break, they are better equipped mentally to deal with everything. Plus, we give them home play to do and ideas to do with their kids, because some of the exercises you can do with your kids, and that makes them very happy. And our repeat clients have told us, oh my God, I did this game with my kids and they loved it. So now we play it all the time because kids love repetition, and that saves them in another manner. So we like to say it's a secondary benefit. You know, kids obviously are not our primary goal here. We're up to the adults, but if we can help with the bonding and the attunement of a parent and a child, bonus, you know?
Absolutely. And again, another great avenue and a great tool to assist those moms and dads that are home that are, you know, they're playing double duty. You know, they're the parent and they're I wouldn't say substitute teacher, but the assistant teacher. Because a lot of times that child needs that assistance. And so, and the same applies to adults. A lot of adults really were not accustomed to Zoom and this whole new way of kind of doing business and working. So it's been a really learning curve for all generations, I believe.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
I'd like to ask a question about the doodling aspect.
Sure.
And I'm chuckling to myself because I do find myself doodling. Not that I'm doodling now, because I'm not. I just want to clarify.
You know, and not everyone doodles. It actually gets your subconscious mind to work, and it allows and I will tell you the exercise that I did so you understand it. And for those of you who do doodle, I have something for you to try. A lot of times people doodle when they're thinking, because it actually does keep their creativity high and allows their subconscious to incubate. And this is a real term. Your subconscious, your mind hates a gap. So when you're working on a problem, it incubates in order to fill that gap with ideas. And doodling can help with that. If you are stressed and need to really concentrate, try doodling with the wrong hand. It's incredibly uncomfortable, and it helps you to focus.
Okay, so let's repeat that. So you would, if you feel like stressed or, you know, anxiety building up or is coming up and you just like, I need that time to kind
doodle with the wrong hand.
Doodle with the opposite hand that you're accustomed to writing with. Well, that would be interesting. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of Mozarts.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's you anytime you play, you take a risk. And that's a good thing, because we all live with our circle of comfort.
Right.
We live life by rote. It's how often have you gotten in a car and all of a sudden you're where you want to be and you don't even remember how to get there. How you got there. And we give home play things like when you're in the car, take notice. What color are the houses? is there any, here, I'm in Los Angeles, so is there any graffiti or beautiful murals on walls? Just take notice, or go to work differently, that sort of thing. There are little things you can do to keep your mind, active. And this is one part of a doodling exercise. When you are with a group, and what the exercise that I was giving, and I noticed this, you take your doodle, if you're sitting in a circle, and you give it to the person on the right, and they have to continue it, because not everybody's form of creativity is the same. And when you're working on a team, you build on each other's. And I've gotten some unbelievable drawings and things like that. And I've done it with Play-Doh, I've done it with colored pencils. It's really fun when you see what the end is. And it's a subconscious realization that you have to be able to work with other people and be flexible in how you see things.
I love that. And I think that would be a great forced family fun activity to do.
Absolutely. And that's another point.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a creative way. It brings everyone to the table. It's something interactive that you can do. And like you said, you're going to find that each family member has their own dynamic, of creativity. And that would be quite interesting between the Play-Doh and the drawing. I like that.
So yeah, and this is what we do when we do in person. We do keynotes, we do breakout sessions, we do workshops, half day, whole day, all different things depending on what companies want. And we have a plethora of independent contractors who work with us and who are experts in play and related avenues depending on what the client wants.
So my question was, when somebody doodles, is there a significance in what they doodle? In other words,
into that doodle thing, are you?
I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. For instance, we have an older sister that when she's sitting at her desk, she doodles on her calendar pad heads with, she does the hair and all that.
You know what? I don't think it may, but I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know that I know what it's like a doodle Rorschach test, I guess. I don't really know what it would mean. I think a lot of people might doodle things that they're interested in, or just shapes. If you're on the phone, a lot of people doodle when they're on the phone, so it's just shapes and curves and things like that. And I think if you look at someone and how they doodle, the more curvy their lines, I think the looser their thinking might be, as just whether they're right-brained or left-brained, whether they're accountants or tech people, or that sort of thing, just how they normally think personality-wise, and how hard are they pressing with a pencil will show you how stressed they are, or angry, or any of those type of. Are you looking at your doodles to see where you're at?
Oh boy, that was from yesterday. Actually, I'm writing some great notes here.
Good, and it's a good self tool. If you look at the way you've doodled, think about what was I thinking about? What was I stressed about?
That is true, and I'm sure, like you said, it's just another activity and actual action to help release something that you may not even realize, that's there, or it's internal. So, Rona, how could our audience and our viewers get a hold of you, get in touch with you, as well as any corporation? How would someone reach you?
You can reach me from the website, www.playfulmindproject.com, and my email is rona@playfulmindproject.com.
And we'll make sure that all of your information will get posted underneath, excuse me, this live. So
yes, if anybody has any questions, comments, happy to help.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And always improving company culture. And again, I just want to go back to that for a second, because I think it's so important. have you found that with working with, and you said that you're the business to business? Okay. I'm sure that this is a new avenue too, obviously for the businesses, and they want to help their employees, almost like an added benefit to them.
Right. And, it's a little harder of a sell to some people. Our main targets when we talk to people, HR executives, CFOs, and CEOs. What we found is that it takes a courageous executive to try this, because people are scared to get things wrong, to lose their jobs, et cetera. And you have to take a risk, no risk, no reward. People are, sorry, my dog agrees with me, but it really does take someone who is willing to take a chance on something new, because, what they're doing hasn't been working. They need to find a new way of doing things. You cannot solve a new problem with an old solution. You got to try something new.
That is so true. And I think that is one of the blessings. And I always say there's many blessings that came out of the last 12 months. You have to be open to them. And for many corporations, entrepreneurs, whatever, you have to have had to pivot in some way,
Right.
shape, or form. And therefore, there's a lot that many corporations were not aware of with their employees, meaning, okay, now we're taking the brick and mortar away from them. Thankfully, we can still run our industry, but now we found a new segment that we have to address. We have a lot of employees that are suffering from, whatever it may be. We've got to come up with some sort of solution to pivot the atmosphere of our business and adapt it to where they're at, and also validate it, because I think part of that is validating where that person is without any judging, without any, you always said you wanted to work at home, and guess what? Now you've got your opportunity and you're not doing so well. If you don't make it very cohesive to their personal situation, like you said, it does take a brave CEO, but it takes someone that has insight to understand human conditions change depending on the four walls they're around.
It takes, to your point, yes, it takes bravery, it takes guts, it takes a high emotional quotient, EQ, emotional intelligence, to be aware of what's going on in your company. And the HR person, when I talk to HR people, I always say, what's the worst that will happen? Will you lose your job over this if you try something that you've never tried before? Have you ever tried something new? What's happened? What's the worst that has happened? And it's not, when we signed a 3 month, 6 months contract, of course, we always say, let's look at this in 30 days. Let's see what's working and what isn't. Any good consultant will work like that. And that's what you have to do. You have to be able to be open to trying things that will help your employees, and they will appreciate it, because it has to come from the top down. Understanding starts from the top and trickles down.
That is so true. And wow, such great information. We would absolutely love to have you on again.
Sure.
So we can dive into some more, but we want to thank you so much for sharing everything about the Playful Mind Project. And I have some great notes here, and I can't wait to check out laughter yoga. I'm very interested in that. I don't know how well I would do, but it's definitely.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised.
That is awesome. So on that note, we want our listeners and viewers to think about your inner child. Why don't you doodle today? Do you have a doodle pad on your desk? I certainly do. And I love shapes. And the only thing I know how to draw is an elephant, but we won't go into that right now because that would take just eons of time. Anyways, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 3.0, and I am with two
Sisters, and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss Lady Canna. Remember, today is Trending Thursday. What are you going to be trending? You be the trend setter, and I think some doodling is going to be in that trend setting. Show something to do that force family fun or that creative. Sit around the table, start that doodle, and pass it to the person on the right, or with Play-Doh. Whatever works for you, but have fun. We thank Rona so much, and we want everyone to have a great Thursday. We will see you tomorrow on Fantabulous Friday. Everyone, take care.
Bye, everyone.
What time are we going to?